Hey everybody, I'm Andy Wike, back at it again today for another episode of All Pipes Considered, this time joined by my good friend, Mr. Kaz Walters. How you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
Doing great. So remind everyone who you are and what you do. And
So I am the operations manager for the American importer and distributor of Savinelli, Valdese Distribution Group. So I help manage the day-to-day operations for the division and making sure that in the most efficient way, Savinelli's pipes are in shops across the country.
this is super cool. That's super cool. So you obviously hear a lot about, from different shops and stuff, kind of like what they're looking for and kind of what's popular, aside from just smoking pipes, obviously. Now I know that the Alligator series is a super popular one kind of across the entire U.S.
Yeah, so what's really interesting in our line of work is that you see trends, whether they're across the entire country, if they're geographically unique, whether it's a state or whatever, or if it's kind of like a region. And the Alligator is one of those that it isn't specific to a particular area or part of the country, or like this is a universal favorite, and it's a consistent favorite. So it's really exciting to see what we're going to get in with basically line extensions or new iterations of that finish.
Yeah, for sure. So just to get into it, so what we're talking about today is a limited edition line extension to the Alligator series, taking that sort of iconic finish that's captured so many people's imaginations, and adding 4 new shapes to the line. So these shapes are a little bit more like slender or trim lined than you would traditionally sort of expect from Savinelli, and that's because these are actually like old Elegance shapes. So if you guys remember, the Elegance was like a pretty popular line, but it sort of featured sort of more traditionally English or Anglo French sort of shaping conventions. So there was a little less visual weight lent on the bowl. It sort of was more sort of traditional than the Italian neoclassical style that we typically associate with Savinelli.
Which is usually a little bit more dynamic, forward thrusted, more robust, larger profiles. And this is totally a Franco-English vibe that's going on with the silhouette and its namesake. These shapes were part of the Elegance series. It's a very elegant silhouette that's kind of, to me, harkens back to especially the billiard and the prints, like shapes that you would have seen around the 40s and 50s, like the Bing Crosby era, and very clinchable shapes. And I think that while they are more compact, they still have a certain degree of as you said, lightweight grace about them, but they're not lacking in the chamber department either.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, like those of you who are familiar with Savinelli's lineup, I mean, obviously there's the KS and EX grades in terms of size, but even the standard sort of bowls, I think, are like around group 3 in size, to use the different marks, size conventions. But so certainly not, pipes that you could only put like a little thimble of tobacco in. I mean, these are definitely medium to large size pipes, but the profiles are far more elegant, which since we're calling this the Savinelli Elegance line extension, the Alligator Elegance, that's sort of appropriate. So again, 4 new shapes. All of them are sort of harkening back to that sort of 20s, 30s, 40s era of the sort of Anglo-French designs, but with a little bit of a larger bowl. Very recognizable profiles. And again, these are all like 3 millimeter. So if you like Savinelli shaping conventions, but you maybe aren't super fond of the 6 mil or 9 mil variations, this would be a really good entry point. I think it's also cool because Alligator is certainly one of Savinelli's most colorful finishes.
Oh yeah.
But I also think like what they accomplish in that finish is super cool. So it's sort of these alternating organic panels of rustication and smooth polish that gives it this almost like bark or
Scale.
leather scale looking appearance, right? And what's really cool is that you get the texture from the sort of rusticated grooves, but then the grain still shows through on those smooth polished panels. So it's really cool to see like a blue pipe or a green pipe that you could actually see like bird's eye and flame grain and stuff on the panels.
It's not opaque. You can definitely see what's going on underneath. And just to say, the alligator finish is something that, while you have different patterned rustications and textures across all sorts of pipe brands, the alligator is a wholly unique execution of Savinelli's.
Yeah.
And what's really cool about these finishes is, while they're colorful, those high points, the smooth points, will patinate over time. You will get more grain come through. You will get some, which will be unique from pipe to pipe, owner to owner.
Yeah, that's
but like
true.
you develop this unique imprint of a patina, and which
The
is
oils in your hands and different things like that too.
which adds, as it mixes with the tones of the stains, it creates something unique to the individual. And I think that they're all paired with a lucite acrylic, except for the brown, which is more of like an acrylic Cumberland. So they have the complementary mouthpieces too, that with that undulating opalescent playing with the light. It also adds to the unique nature of each pipe.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great point. I hadn't considered the patination, but I think that's that's a really cool point. On the stems themselves, so Kaz, every year, at the beginning of the year, I drag you in here and make you talk about, Savinelli's new releases, the novelties as we call them. And one of the points that we touch on every year, if you guys have seen these videos, is Savinelli's use of proprietary acrylic for their mouthpieces. And I think we typically talk about that in the context of like new releases, but like this goes like back all the way, like as far as I can remember, is with Savinelli. I mean, even the Alligator line, which I can't remember exactly when it was introduced, but it's been several years.
Yes, I mean, I would say probably close to 20, maybe. Yeah.
But all of these stems are also proprietary, custom made, specifically for Savinelli, and I think it's really cool because it's not just one type. So the Alligator is offered in multiple finishes. So you do get something as traditional as this sort of swirled black and brown Cumberland looking stem, but then you also get this deep sort of shimmery emerald. I think the red's probably my favorite because it has this almost like gold. It's like Goldschlager in a stem. You know what I mean? Like there's only
100%.
little flecks. And then of course the blue is quite nice as well. So they're all sort of these complementary colors. I think that the sort of trim accent bands on these are very nice. I think they definitely add a little bit more elegance.
Yes, it's minimal,
it's
but
very
it
minimal.
has a nice pop. It brings it all together without it being completely monotonous. It makes every aspect of the pipe more of itself instead of just like fading altogether. And I've got to say, I mean, Savinelli was probably the first of the old factory manufacturers that put so much thought into their stems as far as color and how they complement. Like it wasn't just an extension of the bowl.
Yeah.
Like they see the pipe as one piece, and in which case it opens design opportunities.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point. I'm thinking about other makers and marks, put a lot of emphasis on the stem work, and
it's more commonplace now, but around the time that Savinelli really started to make itself known as a world name, I feel like they were, I mean, before that you really had Cumberland, some organic materials like horn, and they come out with these. I mean, these are definitely eye-catching.
No,
even
yeah,
today
for sure.
with the color palettes available. And
yeah, I think like seeing the stem as like an aspect or an element in the larger composition, right? It's not just an afterthought. It's not just meant to be comfortable. It's not just meant to extend the lines of the pipe. It's also an opportunity to like play with color and play with light and, really make it more than, just, oh, this is a straight stem and this is a bent stem. So I think that's definitely spot on. And I think it particularly translates well to these sort of more slender lissom shapes that you see in the Alligator Elegance. Just great profiles and, like who's this for, right? I think honestly, probably for anybody, particularly if you're a fan of Savinelli's more colorful series, the Alligator, the Arcobaleno, some of the more adventurous new releases that we've had,
or even some
like
older releases.
Vanicias,
Yes, also like the Miele and Oceano. Which,
for sure.
Yeah, so I mean, it's something that Savinelli's known for is their creative use of color and they're playing with texture. And I mean, you have them all here. This is quintessential Savinelli. You've got the unique stems and how they interplay with a unique finish, and then you've got colors and shapes. Like you've got 4 shapes across 4 colors, and I mean, how many factories, how many brands would say, hey, let's put an alligator scale pattern on a pipe in red or blue with an undulating lucite stem in a old school like turn of the century to mid-century shape, and they actually nail the execution and land it. Like,
I mean, that's the thing, right? Like if you're describing it and it's like, oh, like, well, this pipe's sort of partially rusticated and it's red, and it has like an orange glimmery stem. Like you wouldn't like, just in your mind, it's like, okay.
And it looks like an alligator.
Yeah. And it looks like an alligator. But like in execution, it's like, it really is like an elegant take on the Alligator series. So I think, again, with Savinelli, like everything that they execute, I think is just sort of top notch. I mean, if you're drawn to more colorful pipes, I'm thinking about some of the stuff that the American artisans and factories have done in recent years. If you're into sort of turn of the century shapes and want something that's a little bit more extroverted in your rotation, I think this could definitely do well. But even if you are sort of drawn to more like Bruyere stains or a more traditional classic palette, I think the Alligator still gives you an option with the brown that's a bit more understated, but still gives you all that texture. And it's still just a very handsome, good-looking pipe. Okay, so there you have it. The Alligator Elegance on site now. 4 different shapes and 4 different finishes. Make sure to leave us a comment below and let us know your favorite shape in the new limited edition expansion. And Kaz, thank you so much for joining us. Always appreciate it.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah. Thanks so much, guys. We'll see you next time.
See you later, alligator.